Waseo.
Waseo.
And continuing from the first part, coincidentally, last week I had introduced a Moroccan basket here, and coincidentally, the Sunday newspaper has an article here, cover article and travel, of Morocco, Maracá used to be, and there's a big colored picture of an old Moroccan fortress, that is an Arab, that looks like a topi. And also this past week, to go along with that, Columbus Day, in the Saint, even in the temple this morning, Sensei said 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And with good reason. In 1492, the Trump government of Spain was evicting all people who were Semitic. First the Jews, and then the Mohammed Berbers there. And I would pose right at this point that the state of Nevada had the legislature just had passed that instead of Columbus Day, it should be Indigenous Day. That's really good. The one dissenting person there was an Italian American. So it puts a little bit of misnomer in it. No, not to disappoint Italian Americans, but Columbus was not Italian, had never been there, never knew one. He is definitely of the ancestry of the Hebrews. He is from the Balearic Islands, and he definitely was in the employ of Prince Anselmo of Portugal. Portugal was a sanctuary state, and there he was married to a woman also of Hebrew family. His name is actually Cristobal Cologne, and the Cologne family is also famous in France, so we put Cologne on it ourselves and so forth. While this was going on, also, the Spanish were making war raids into Morocco, then Mauritania. And one of the commanders of the Castiles were Don Francisco Coronado. And he certainly encountered the Berbers there. That I told you they have somehow extended or migrated there all along the Libyan coast. As now we're looking at Libya, the Barbary coast, the Barbary states, all of this, New Numidia, all of this is people who are the gens of they're being called the Berber. Again, they are the Barbara. They're the sons of the bear, and they are the Kabyle. They are the people of the Sibyl who maintain their goddess relationship. They are never Moors. They are themselves the Shui, as the Egyptians also know them to be, meaning the travelers, the wayfarers. They, up to this day, bear the same sort of relationship to the Arabs of Morocco as Native Americans do here to the English American government and all of that. And this is just to say what Coronado was actually acquainted with, because the Tajura Mountains are the first mountains he's encountered, and he certainly encountered these Shui there. The Spanish government wanted to obtain the property and wealth or gold. The Rock of Gibraltar you all heard about, that's actually named the name of the Berber general, Abel Cabrik, who first led the Berber people into southern Spain, then called Granada. And Granada continued to be a Berber Mohammed country about 100 years, starting 100 years later, like that. So all of these people were being expelled from Spain, and since everybody knew it was coming, many people got out of there. And all this boils down to, what happened after 1492. About 40 years later, this Coronado, somehow he knows, some people have the idea that these people, whether they were the Jews or the Berbers, leaving Spain, got out with their gold or their money. And they got over here. Our former band member, Jose Carvajal, interestingly, his family was one of those people who escaped the Inquisition and came here. It was very interesting. So all of this, has a kind of preempt to it. Because then we move over to the whole story of Coronado. Arizona Highways has published a lot of articles on him. It even did a special go on declaring that he's the first civilized man to enter into savage Native America and all that kind of stuff, you know. And they even got a national monument down there on the Arizona border for him, and so forth. There's a lot of fable and things in this. I'm just trying to say all of this because there's a lot mistaken in it all. The practical fable of Coronado and the 7 cities of gold really have something to it. He amassed the largest expedition to proceed into New Mexico, where he has given the idea that there was something for the 7 cities of Cibola. The Ciudad Cibola is really the Ciudad Cabele. These are the same people he encountered in the Jadura Mountains of Morocco, Mauritania. He knows them. He knows their look. He knows everything about them because he's written about them in his journal there. And very interestingly, somebody beats him to it. Briefly, that is, the Americans have a very racist view of everything, and in this one as well. That is, they have that there is a black slave, also a Moor, but a slave nonetheless. Esteban is usually how he's named, and it's that he went ahead of Coronado, and the people of this pueblo, now called Zuni, murdered him. And that was, you know, the tail wagging the dog, a later justification for the Spanish attack on his people. It's all made up. But the people, Zuni is a name given to them by the Spanish, but that's not who they are. They're the Achui, and their pueblo is actually Halawana Ituana, meaning the center place, and so forth. But actually, this fellow, the new Zuni, actually remember, is actually Estebanico de Azamoro, that they know who he is. And he speaks the same language as the people in the Zuni Pueblo. That's a Libyan Berber language like that. And he is continued to be remembered in the form of a Zuni Kachina. So all of that. Whatever happened to him, nobody knows. But what happened was that Coronado, with this huge train of soldiers and everything, come there. Now what's interesting is at this time, the Pueblo is having the summer solstice. And the summer solstice, the priests put cornmeal across the road. Now, the Spanish are not just tromping around there in the rugged desert. This is all, you're a minor civilization. There's a great lake there. It's the Zuni Salt Lake. And from that salt lake, there's a paved road, 40 feet wide with berms on it. And it's across this road that the priests have put the cornmeal to say that everything that's going on in here in this pueblo is, you know, in a religious ceremonial way. This particular pueblo, there was never 7, it's always 6, is named Hawiku, which I kind of glossed it, you know, as the house of the goddess, who these people continue to be of. So it's very interesting because this is the one that Coronado chose to lay siege to and attack. And having captured it eventually, it must be very high because in his testimony he said how that the defenders had rained stones down upon them, and that a stone had hit his helmet, knocked him off his horse, where he comments to the good quality of his of the metal of his armor, like that. So that it would definitely seem that these are who knows, 3 or 4 stories high, and so forth. After they've captured this, they hold the Holy Inquisition, and most of the people that they killed in this way were actually teenagers, and so forth. Well, this earned for them the absolute indomitable fear or disregard for the Spanish and the Catholic Church to this day. Absolutely. Now, remember who these people really are. These people are actually people from Morocco who were subject to Spanish raids and Catholicism, and they still are. Of the churches that the Spanish kept building there, the people burned them down. They killed the priests. They would track down the soldiers and kill them, and so forth. finally somebody in the BIA somewhere, 60, 70 years ago, who was a Catholic, and they actually had a Catholic church built or rebuilt there and declared as a national monument, so dare not burn it down. And so it is, and so forth, and all of that goes on. And this is just, to write a little bit of the story, because the American version insists on continuing with this fable. So the 7 cities of Cibola is really the Sira, the Cabel, and the Cabel are the people of the goddess, later called the Sibyl. So it's a mispronunciation with this Cibola. You can see it. And so I have a mixture here. We've been there, Claudia and I have been there. The pueblo itself is called Zuni. It's actually Halona. But the other 5 pueblos, after all of this, consolidated into one. And that's where it all is. It's about 6 buildings, I think 5 stories high, and so forth. But that is now called the pueblo of Zuni, actually Halona, Ituana, the center place. And this is a tablita, from there, and I would say it is the moisture-bringing girl. You can see, and so I've had this really long time like that. So that's what that is. This is, basket tray. This is actually Hopi. This is made by Bessie Pulayongu from the Yucca, like that. And it portrays this character. Oh, you people usually call him Mudhead. He's a very high deity in the Zuni. Super like that. And to show the resemblance, this is a basket from Morocco, which I did last week. And this is a very old Berber basket also from Morocco. And then down here, this is from Zuni, this crushed turquoise covered jar. And there are little stone carved animals all around. This is called, in English, fetish jar. But the continuation of, the Cabal in Crete and her sanctuary for wild animals continues in the people of Zuni. They are very well known for making all kinds of stone carvings of animals, and most especially the bear continues to bear with them. Incidentally, the bear that they're the sons of is the constellation of the bear. And they usually portray it with the 2 stars, a bear with the 2 stars that line up to the North Star. So that's all figured in this. This is my shield today. And because of Hawiku and all that happened there, and the people dismantled it after all these tragedies. And so I particularly have chosen this for my shield today. In 1917, the archaeologists excavated and they found a pottery, and this is a pottery design from pottery jar there. And what it portrays here, that this is a split eagle tail feather. So that's Selachanwin Glupi, meaning the tail feather of the golden eagle split. And it means for somebody who has been severely wounded in battle, or somebody who has really suffered a lot. So that's my choice for this. The black stands for our ancestors. The yellow stands for the moon. The turquoise is for Father, Son, and the white is Tema, the east where life comes from. The Harmony Road. After our moon mother at her sacred place, still small, appears, and she now, yonder in the east, sending fully grown, makes her nights. Now, listen, our spring children, whoever truly desires in your heart to live long life happiness, taking prayer meal, taking white shell, taking corn pollen, lifting up with prayers one by one shall make their roads go forth. May your road be fulfilled. Shemini.